Good afternoon, philosophers. Today, allow me to discuss the Repetitio of Scheller's Godsucker idea. My thesis is that the human person is essentially a Godsucker or a seeker of God, whose very identity as a spiritual person is constituted by transcendence toward the divine. First, I say this because Scheler insists that human beings differ from animals, not by intelligence alone, but by the capacity for religious transcendence. Moreover, I say this due to the fact that Scheler described man as the prayer of life beyond itself, meaning that our personhood is inseparable from reaching out to God. And third, I say this since Scheler argues that without this transcendence, we cannot recognize ourselves as persons at all. Now, to illustrate the supporting points, first is let us consider how every or after satisfying material needs, humans still ask deeper questions about meaning and purpose. 2. As an example to the second point, imagine someone who prays not out of habit, but because they feel restless until they connect with something greater. And as regard to the third point, I myself experience moments of estrangement from God. Yet, even then, the longing self reminded me of my identity as a seeker. Now, other valid objection to each supporting points. First, there are some people, philosophers, may say that reason and freedom and not religious transcendence define the person. 2. Regarding to the second point, others would object that prayer is a cultural practice, not an essential human trait. And to the third point, other thinkers claim that atheists or secular humanists are still fully person without reference to God. Now, to answer the first objection, that reason and freedom are indeed important, but Scheler shows that they are deepened by transcendence. To the second objection, I answer that prayer here is a symbolic of openness to the infinite, not limited to one culture. And to the third objection, I say this because even atheists live out transcendence through the restless search for meaning, which Scheler still calls Godsucker. Now, to illustrate, when studying philosophy, I noticed that rational inquiry often leads beyond itself toward ultimate questions, because philosophy itself is a lover of wisdom. And two, in conversations with my friends or fellow seminarians with different or other religious person from different religion, I saw that each expressed longing for something beyond finite life. And third, even in the secular context, people pursue ideas like justice, truth, as if they were absolute, showing transcendence at work. Now, in my conclusion, I say that the human person is defined not merely by rationality or freedom, but by the restless transcendence toward God, which constitutes us as spiritual persons, even when expressed in diverse or secular ways. Now, on my insight number one, Scheller's view highlights that human dignity lies in our openness to the infinite. It suggests that estrangement from God is itself proof of our identity as seekers. Third, it shows that transcendence unifies reason and moral life into a deeper whole. And for my application in my everyday seminary life, I can approach my studies and my formations as ways of seeking truth beyond mere facts. 2. I can recognize that even doubt or estrangement is part of my spiritual identity as I go along in my formation. And third, I can also encourage other seminarians or lay people as well to see their questions and longing as signs of their dignity as person. That is all, and God bless.